The evil YouTube sleuth, cashing in on tragedy by spreading sick rumors about one of America's most brutal murders. The murder of Shanann Watts and her two young daughters was a crime so shocking it sent ripples round the globe. The horrific crime, and the court case that followed, featured in the Netflix documentary American Murder: The Family Next Door in 2020. Nearly 7 years on, Shanann's family are still reeling from events they describe as the most devastating thing a family can experience. Yet, as this family soon found out, nowadays this agony is often magnified by so-called armchair detectives who have sprung up in recent years on blogs, YouTube, and TikTok. These people make a living by trawling over the misery of others. And while the crime might have occurred in the US, it was a British ghoul who pushed Shanann's family over the edge. It is a sentiment Shanann's mother Sandra Rzucek, father Frank, and brother Frankie can well understand. "There's not 1 second we don't think about our family," says Sandra, talking exclusively to the Mail on Sunday. Then to deal with this, on top of that, it has been a living hell. For the Rzuceks, there was one name that stood out among the barrage of amateur sleuths. It was Alan Vinnicombe, a 70-year-old grandfather and father of 3 who goes by the name the Armchair Detective, AD for short. Vinnicombe, a former DJ and restaurateur who now plays poker, is not from Colorado, where the crime happened, or even North Carolina, where the Rzuceks live. He lives in Somerset, England, where he presides over a bustling and potentially lucrative cottage industry built on scrutinizing tragedy. Even though he was kicked off YouTube in 2023, he still operates on other platforms, and his most recent focus is the death of One Direction star Liam Payne. Court documents say Vinnicombe has made at least 184 videos about the Watts case since 2018, sharing them with his 79 to 100 subscribers on his old Armchair Detective Blue YouTube channel. But in February, Frankie Rzucek secured a landmark legal ruling, winning a claim for harassment against Vinnicombe after a deputy high court judge ruled he'd failed to provide a compliant defense despite multiple opportunities. This week, in their first interview with British media, the Rzuceks spoke about their agonizing ordeal at the hands of Vinnicombe and those like him. "The mental abuse has been so bad," says Sandra. "It's hard to breathe sometimes. He has caused so much damage. Instead of being allowed to grieve, we were subjected to a different kind of cruelty. For years, Alan Vinnicombe spread vile lies about our family, twisting the truth and turning our pain into entertainment. Vinnicombe claimed there was a sinister cover-up, implicating the Rzuceks, and suggesting that, had she lived, Shanann would have been against them. Then came his repeated slurs against Frankie, whom he branded a scammer and dishonest for his efforts to raise money to bring legal action against Vinnicombe. What hurts most is the fact that such entertainment is a money spinner. Social media sleuths are often called tragedy pimps, as YouTube can be very lucrative thanks to advertising revenue. Money can also be made on Patreon, the subscription site on which followers can still join Vinnicombe's study group. Prices start at $4.50 a month, but you can pay up to $85 to become a sponsor partner, which earns you a monthly private audience with him. A deeply religious woman, Sandra addresses Vinnicombe when she insists, "I always said, you did this for your own greed. It wasn't that you cared about my family. You saw money. And it's a shame. It's a God-forsaken shame." Only in the past month, since Frankie's case was successful, does she feel she started to heal. "It's like I lost 30 pounds off my shoulders," she says. "And I pray to God that this doesn't stop here, as I don't want another family to go through what we have been through." Their ordeal began on August 13, 2018, when Chris Watts murdered his family. Nobody saw it coming, least of all Sandra. "I lost half my family. I waited my whole life to be a grandmother, and they were all taken so fast and for no reason." It's what makes any suggestion that she has played the victim card, one of Vinnicombe's throwaway barbs, so vile. The killings sparked a media frenzy. When the Rzuceks flew to Colorado, they faced a melee of paparazzi and YouTubers. Others shared their views from overseas. These untrained experts sitting behind screens might not have visited the scene, but they all had their own theories about what had happened and why. Nothing was above scrutiny, even Shanann's character. It wasn't long before the Rzuceks noticed the armchair detective, Vinnicombe. At first his videos were about what had happened, says Sandra. Then they became more pointed, questioning the neighbors and what they had seen. My husband went on his channel and said, please stop. Stick to the truth. Then the next thing you know, Frank got blocked. Then my son went on and said, hey, you blocked my father, but he carried on. He just wanted to keep going because he was getting views and making money. Then he started mocking the police, saying he could have done better. The more lies he spread, the more people searched. She adds, 6.5 years and it has been awful. People camping at your door, flying drones over your house, showing people your car license plate, your driveway, putting your life in jeopardy. She knows Vinnicombe is just one among many, but, she says, he fueled the flames. In Frankie's particulars of claim, filed at the High Court against Vinnicombe, he highlights a video from 2021, titled, Chris Watts, What Have We Learned in 3 Years?, in which the armchair detective suggests that Frankie is protecting the mistress and concealing information regarding the murder. Vinnicombe adds that if Shanann was alive, she would not be in the same corner as her family. Sandra despairs. People wanted more answers, she says. They thought the solving of the case, had been too fast. They couldn't believe Chris had done this all by himself. But he did. And we knew that from day one, but people just had to get on this bandwagon, spreading lies and rumors for views and money. Other YouTubers saw what Vinnicombe was doing and mimicked it, and then it got worse. There was an outpouring of love on the internet, but you've got 20% that's just pure evil. I had people say evil things about my daughter and grandchildren, just the most hateful things. If it wasn't for my faith, I don't think any of us would be standing, she says. To those who question why the Rzuceks don't simply ignore those like Vinnicombe, she says, he made sure we couldn't ignore it. He tagged me, he tagged all of us. Anytime people searched our name, his channel would pop up. Vinnicombe's presence is certainly pervasive. He has written a book about Chris Watts' case called The Shadow Man. I Saw What Law Enforcement Didn't See. The battle between the family and Vinnicombe only worsened when they tried to get his YouTube channel shut down for breaching community guidelines. Vinnicombe questioned Frankie's motivations for crowdfunding his legal fight. One video, documented for the court, even suggested there is no court case. As for YouTube, Sandra is at a loss. I begged YouTube to stop him. He actually got worse when we hired British law firm Cohen Davis. While no court order was made for YouTube to step in, Vinnicombe's channel was suddenly closed in September 2023, after the case had started. Cohen Davis's director Yair Cohen says, this wasn't just about winning a lawsuit. It was about proving that victims of online harassment have legal recourse and that people cannot use platforms like YouTube to terrorize families. Vinnicombe, who unsuccessfully counterclaimed that he had been harassed and denies all allegations of wrongdoing, told the court he had suffered immeasurable torment, abuse, and harassment. He told the Mail on Sunday, I am drawing up an appeal. I am afraid I cannot comment further for legal reasons. However, a close friend said, Alan is not a bad person. He genuinely didn't mean any harm by Shanann's family. The friend said the situation had got out of hand, adding, a picture of a former address he was living at was posted by one troll, and it was attacked and a window was smashed with a brick. People have sent him funeral notices and even his children have been threatened. He feels people have really misunderstood him. He is a true crime junkie. His online style is very conversational. He just talks it all through on screen, saying, on the one hand this, on the other hand that. He doesn't take a position unless he has the evidence to back it up. He had no idea it would all spiral so out of control. He hasn't spoken about the case for 3 years, but still people post about it constantly. The internet and social media are so toxic. Quite. The Rzuceks, meanwhile, are left to go on without precious family members, though Sandra feels their presence constantly. From the moment I wake to the moment I go to bed, they walk with me, she says. No wonder she wants action to be taken to stop those affected by tragedy from being victimized all over again.